I would like to graciously welcome a member of our community, Jeff Cook, who would like to share with us his journey of addiction and recovery, and to know it can happen to anyone.
Guess that's my group.
Yeah.
Woo! All right. How's everybody doing? Never done anything like this before, so just bear with me here. Like Therese said, it's the prescription pills and opiate problem around here is pretty serious. I think it's great that this group is formed to make people aware of what is going on, because it's probably easier to just brush it under the rug and pretend like it's not here or not around our community, but it is. It's around a lot, and I lived it. It's across the country, it's across the world. I work in Costa Rica now as a Iboga provider, and I tell my story a few times a week around a campfire with a few less people, but it's the same idea. So yeah, just a couple years ago I was a full-blown heroin addict, 4 grams a day junkie. I painted a picture like everything was okay, made it look like it, and had a business and you know, a nice car, a nice motorcycle, but things were not good. I was really in a bad place. So I'm gonna kind of tell my story of how that all happened. You know, like I said, I just wanted to do whatever I could to help and show that there's regular people that are affected by this. It's not just some loser in an alleyway shooting up dope that's jobless and robbing people, and that's what I used to think a heroin addict was, and that's different now. It's the high school quarterback, it's the cheerleader, the lawyer, the sign guy. It's just regular people. So I didn't start off with heroin. It was a long time once of using drugs and alcohol before I went to that. So I'm going to tell my story, how that all came together. When I was a teenager, in 14, 15, I was really doing good in life. I had a dream to be a professional motocross racer, and I was doing good. I was really happy. And some things changed in my life then. Some things happened that it kind of affected me and changed the way I looked at life, and I was just really confused. You know, when you're a teenager and you start going to high school and things are confusing. They were for me. It was a hard time for my life. So yeah, in high school, I started partying. You know, people have parties in high school, smoking weed, and it was fun. We just had a good time. And by the time I was 17, 18, I was using cocaine on a pretty regular basis. I did lots of cocaine. I did cocaine for 17 years. So yeah, I was doing that, but I still was maintaining my life. I was doing all right. I just kind of partied a little too much, but I was still I thought I was okay. And you know, for a while I kind of struggled. I didn't want to know what I wanted to do with my life. And my father had a business, so he gave me a job working for him, and that was cool. You know, I started to learn how to make websites and stuff, and I liked that, but I didn't like being the boss's son. I wanted to do something on my own, so I started Sights and Signs 9 years ago. And that was a really good thing for me. It gave me something to work for, and I would see what would come back when I worked really hard, and I really built a pretty good business. But I was struggling the whole time with drugs and alcohol. And like I said, I did lots of cocaine, and for anyone who's done cocaine, you get this amazing high, and you know, I used to feel like I could take over the world. But then it goes away, and you just continue to chase it and try and keep that feeling going. And it's a roller coaster ride. It's not fun. I lived that way for a very long time. You know, I would get high and come down and would disappear for a couple days because I would party so hard that I couldn't go to work and I couldn't see anyone. I was at home, thinking about killing myself, and I'd pretend like everything was okay when it wasn't. And I was able to do that because I had my own business and I was the boss, so I didn't have to show up for work if I didn't feel good. So yeah, I struggled with that for a long time. Then I started playing around with Percocets, just little 5 milligram Percocets. We would take a couple of those and drink beers, and it was just fun. We were playing around, and I started to realize that after these binges I would go on for a day or 2 days or whatever it was, I would be so depressed and I'd want to kill myself, and it was awful. But I realized that the Percocets would make that go away. It let me party for a night or so, and then I could take perks the next day, and it would take away the depression. It made me feel better, and I was able to face the world. So I did that for a while, and I started to develop a habit. I didn't even realize it. It was a few years where I was using them, and I didn't think it was a problem. I thought I had everything under control. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy at all, but I was maintaining. I was really good at putting a face on that made it seem like I was okay when I was really hurting inside, and I was very confused, and there was a lot of days that I just wish I'd never wake up. That was pretty often for me. There was many days where I would wake up and it would take me a couple hours just to go to work. I didn't show up to work till 10 or 11 in the morning. I could do that because I was the boss. And I wasn't sleeping. I'd be home getting high so that I could face the world. It took me a couple hours every day to do that. So yeah, that was pretty hard. So my Percocet addiction started to get pretty good 6-8 years ago or so, and then I started doing Oxycontins. They were around, and they're much more powerful. They're pretty much heroin in a pill. It's what it is. It's just the doctor's version of heroin. And when I started doing those, things really started to change for me. Things that I'd worked so hard for didn't matter anymore. All I cared about was getting my fix and getting high. Then I did that for a couple of years, and things were getting hard. Running a business is hard on its own. You throw in an addiction like that, it's real hard. Just to maintain life is pretty tricky. So that went on for a while, and then it was the OCs started. You couldn't find them; they weren't around. And when you're an opiate addict, you need your fix, or you cannot get out of bed. The withdrawals it's awful. I would say it's like getting sick, but it's much worse than that. If you haven't experienced it, it's pretty hard to describe it. It's awful. You will do anything to make that pain go away. So I was doing OCs, and they were hard to find. They were expensive. They were $80 a pill, and some days you couldn't get them. And you can't go on with your life without them. So the day came when I switched to heroin. The heroin was cheaper and it was easier to get, and it was tough for me to make that switch because I knew things were bad, but it just didn't matter. I didn't care anymore as long as I got high. At that point, I had 2 houses actually. I had a rental property with 2 units, and I had my regular house that I lived in. And at that point, my addiction was so bad, I was living down at my shop in a concrete block in the most depressing place you could be. And I was living there because I needed the rent money from my houses to pay my heroin dealer. And that money wasn't going to the mortgage company. I'm still dealing with that now. So things started to get really bad, really bad. I know the day, I remember the day when I really realized that I was a junkie. I was a junkie. And this day was, I had a big client coming into my shop. We had a meeting to go over a big job, and I had worked really hard to get this client. I'm not going to say the name, but there's multiple branches around here. I worked really hard to get them, and it took years to really get him as my customer, and I had him. Well, this one morning when they were coming in, I hadn't seen my heroin dealer yet that day. He was late, and I was dope sick. So I was down at my shop, pacing around, sweating, my eyes are black, feeling like hell, and the clients showed up. And there was two, pretty bigwigs from the organization, and I had to put them in my office, and I told them, just wait, just give me a few minutes, we'll get to this in a little bit. So they were kind of like, oh, okay, and I'm out in my shop calling my heroin dealer, where are you, man, where are you, I need you. And that went on for about 20 minutes. The clients were asking my guy, like, what's going on, where's Jeff, why isn't he out here? And they had no idea what was going on in the other room. So my heroin dealer showed up. I got my dope, and I banged down what I needed to do, and I went in like nothing happened. I was fine. Sold the job, no problem. Anyways, they left, and I just really looked at myself and was like, man, what has happened to me? What am I doing? So yeah, that was the day that I realized I was a junkie. I was a junkie for a long time before that, but that was the day that I realized it. So I started to realize that I needed to get some help, because I had tried stopping myself. I tried everything, and it wasn't working. So I went to my parents, and they had known that I'd struggled for years with other things, but I was maintaining, but this was bad. Like I couldn't go on. I could feel that I was going to die. At the same time, with all this heroin I was still using cocaine. Not as much, but I still did. And when you mix those two, you're gambling with your life every time you do it. There's no doubt about it. That's how a lot of people die. So yeah, I went to my parents and said that I needed help. I was scared, and I just didn't think there was any way out. I wanted to die. I was miserable. It was a very hard time. So I talked to my parents, and they were going to try and help me figure out something to do. And my father had heard about this plant medicine from Africa called Iboga. And its amazing properties of helping people with opiate addiction. And my father has been, I'll say, a spiritual seeker for many years. I used to not really be a big fan of it. I used to make fun of him. I thought it was stupid, and it kind of embarrassed me, some of the crazy things he did. But he was looking for something, and I'm glad he was that way, because he found it, and he helped me find it. So anyways, we found this place online called the Iboga House in Costa Rica. And we set up a time for me to go down there. And my dad went with me. And I was supposed to go for about 6 months, but I kept making excuses of, I got to finish this job, and I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I was just scared. But then the day came when I knew that I had to do something soon. So I went down there, and when you're a junkie, all you care about is your next fix. That's all that matters. It's with you 24/7, and the thought of me getting on a plane and going to another country with no drugs was really scary to me. It's just racing through my mind, like, what if this doesn't work? What am I going to do? I'm down there, I'm not going to be able to get any dope, and it was scary. But we did it. I knew that I didn't have a choice. I needed to do something, or I was going to die. I could feel it. So we went down, and I got there, and I met Magenda, my shaman, that he was running the place. He's from Gabon, Africa, where Iboga come from, and he's an amazing guy. I'm going to talk about him a little after. So he gave me the medicine, and I went into my detox. Iboga, one of the great properties about Iboga is it takes opiate withdrawals away. It helps with all addiction, but opiates specifically, that withdrawal feeling that I was talking about, being dope sick, it takes it away. The feeling of it. Your body is still going through these changes, but you don't feel it. So my detox lasted 5 days. It was actually the toughest detox that the shaman had ever seen. And that was, they told me that after, and I was like, wow, man, I didn't think I was that bad. Like, what the fuck, you know, wow. So anyways, I came out of that, and I was awake the whole time. I wasn't really, I had a lot of medicine, so I was kind of in a different place, but I was awake. I was sweating and puking, and everything was coming out of me everywhere. It wasn't pretty. I ruined 3 mattresses in those 5 days. Yeah, so I came out of it, and I was really feeling good. I didn't need heroin, and it was like, holy, wow, this is amazing, you know, but I was still really weak. I didn't eat for those 5 days because I was throwing up nonstop, and they ended up having to take me to get an IV. And once they did that, I really started to come around quite a bit faster. You know, like I said, I tried to eat everything, and they were trying to get me to put something in me after the IV, and everything burned because I'd been throwing up for days, and my insides just killed. Even a piece of fruit made my throat burn, and they were just trying everything. You know, what can we get you, anything to get you to eat? Just tell us what it is. And I was like, just give me some Honey Nut Cheerios, man. Just give me some Honey Nut Cheerios. So they went down to the store and they got me Honey Nut Cheerios, and I joke about how Honey Nut Cheerios saved my life. I actually use Honey Nut Cheerios quite a bit, and it's part of my toolbox now when I'm working with other addicts. When they're having trouble eating, I just get them some Honey Nut Cheerios, and everybody really, it seems to work pretty well. So yeah. So yeah, then while I was there, my father went along with me, like I said, and he had an amazing experience as well. Iboga isn't just for drug addicts, it's for everyone, and it can help everyone in big ways. So yeah, he had an amazing experience, and at the same time, my father and I were able to kind of reconnect. I had been really mad at my father for most of my life about some things, and we kind of made peace with that, so it was really good. So yeah, we were down there, and we were just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, you know, it was this great things were happening to me, to him. All the other people were there, were having these life-changing experiences, and it was just like, holy moly, you know, we want to be a part of this, you know. So we talked with Magenda, the shaman, and he had a training program where you could go and train with him and learn how to be an Iboga provider. So we both were like, yeah, well, we want to do this. We want to do it. Right away before we left, we signed up for it. So we went home for a month. And then we went down for a month to train, and then we went back home for a month, and vice versa, back and forth for a few months. Things were going really good. At that time, my father, 4 months into it, he graduated from the program, and he was an Iboga provider. And another guy, Brad, that works with us now at our center, he was graduated too. But I wasn't quite ready. I knew it. The shaman told me that just my road was a little longer. I still had to deal with some more things and just keep working. So I did. And because you know, my father and Brad graduated, they were able to run ceremonies then. And so Magenda would go back to Africa, and those guys would run the ceremonies. I was still there helping and working, and it was an amazing experience. It was awesome. Seeing people come from all over the world and working with them it really was doing something to me, and being a part of helping people change their lives it was powerful. So yeah, I was doing amazing, and about 8 months into it, I had been clean and sober, doing amazing 8 months, and we had a break in a session where there was no patients. So, and my father was actually going to see my brother Colin's Ironman in Kona, Hawaii, and I was supposed to go, and that was the plan. And then there was some things that happened between me and my father, that some old things kind of came up, and I was pretty upset. So I decided not to go to Kona, and I decided to go home. And I hadn't been home in a while, and the first thing I did when I got home was got on my motorcycle. That's what I do. I ride motorcycles. I love it. And I got with my buddies, and we went out for a ride, and it was a beautiful day. Everything my life was perfect. And when it came to be lunchtime, and we stopped at a bar, and my buddies were having a couple beers, and I remember thinking to myself, oh man, you know, can I have a beer? It's just a beer, you know, that beer ain't gonna kill me. So I decided that it was okay that I had a beer. And that choice that I made changed my life in a big way. I wasn't ready. I had no idea what was about to happen. So I ended up drinking a beer, and then I had another one, and another one, and another one, and you know how the story goes. I drank all day into the night. Hard liquor, everything. I got real drunk. And when it was time to go home, and the bars were closing, I got on my bike to ride home. And some of my friends, one of them was right here, tried to tell me not to drive. This is what they tell me. I don't even remember. I was blacked out. So I got on my bike and I took off, going real fast. And another buddy came with me, I think, to try and make sure that I'd made it home safe, because he knew that I was in no shape to drive. So we ended up getting chased by the police that night for a while. It was pretty crazy. Again, I'm just going on what he told me, because I don't remember anything from it. Anyways, we were running from the police, and a car came up in front of me, and I went to pass it, and then another car was coming, so I had to come back into my lane, and I hit the car in front of me. I was moving right along. I hit the back of the car, and I flipped over the roof and landed in the road, and the buddy that was with me thought I was dead. I don't remember that either. I don't remember any of it. Luckily, I was wearing a full-face helmet. Normally, I just wear the small ones you see Harley riders ride, like a brain bucket. I usually wear one of those, but it was the fall, and it was cold out. So I wore a full-face helmet to keep me warm, basically. And that helmet saved my life, there's no doubt about it. I still have the helmet. It's pretty scuffed up, to say the least. So, yeah, I was laying unconscious in the road, and my buddy thought I was dead. I ended up coming to, I guess, 10, 20 seconds later, and stood up. And the police were there at this point, and they had their guns on us, and I was arrested that night for quite a few charges. And I remember, the first thing I remember was getting bailed out by my buddy's father, and him taking me to the ATM to get him the money he used for me to bail me out. And I was still pretty wasted at that point, and it just seemed like a dream or something. I didn't know what was going on. So he brought me home, and yeah, Eliza was there, and that was not a good scene. She was not very happy with me. I wasn't very happy with myself. So I woke up the next morning, and it all started to become very real, very real. I was in a lot of pain, though. I guess I refused medical attention at the scene. They tried to put me in an ambulance, and I told them that I was all set. But I wasn't all set. I had a broken vertebrae in my neck. I had internal bleeding, and I had bruises all over me. I was in rough shape. So Eliza brought me to the hospital, and I spent the rest of the day there, you know, getting fixed up or whatever they do there. So I had some time to sit there and realize what had happened. You know, the day before, like I said, my life was perfect. Everything was so good. I had been clean. I had worked so hard to get where I was, and that was all gone, all gone. Just by one choice, that one choice to drink a beer, my life was turned upside down. So that was hard. That was really hard. I felt like I let myself down, and I felt like I let everybody else that had been working with me, helping me get better. I felt like I let them down. So yeah, I wanted to just go right back to Costa Rica. I wanted to get the heck out of here, but I couldn't. I had court dates, and I had stuff that I had to deal with. And when I was younger, I was arrested quite a bit in my late teens and early 20s. A lot of the same kind of thing, running from the police, things like that. So this wasn't the first time I was charged with this. So the court was not, they didn't want to make a deal. There was no way. It was the third time that I'd done most of these charges, and they said there's no more breaks, it's the third strike. So I was really scared. I thought I was going to be able to get out of it, no big deal, like I had done in the past, but they weren't going to make a deal. So that was scary. At the same time, Eliza, my fiance, was pregnant with our first child, Michaela. And I had always wanted a child my whole life. I just was really just too messed up for a long time to do it. So that was a big deal. Part of the deal with me getting clean, Eliza told me that we could have a baby if I got clean. So that was a big one for me. So I'm in all this trouble now, and it's looking like that I'm going to go to jail. I got a lawyer, and he's like, I talked to the DA, man, they don't want to do a deal. It's not looking good. Luckily, some things happened. Someone knew someone, and I won't get into that, but I got one more chance. But before I knew that, I was freaking out. I was scared. I thought that there was a chance I was going to be in jail when my baby was born, and I just couldn't deal with it. There was some other things going on in my life that were some things from the past that was really bothering me, and I gave in. I thought that if I used again, it would make it all go away, like it used to. You know, like the heroin would take everything away. So the day came, and I used heroin again. I thought that it was going to make everything better, but it didn't do that. It made things way worse. Yeah, that was tough. So I used for a little while, and I did a good job of hiding it from everyone. I wasn't using nearly what I was using before. You know, addiction, it will take you places that you never imagined. Everybody has a rock bottom. It's different for everyone. Some people find their bottom 2 years down the road. Some people find it in 10 years. Some people never find it and they die. But addiction will take you to the bottom. And I'm going to tell you what my bottom was. The day that Michaela was born, that was the biggest day of my life. It was the happiest day of my life, but it was also the worst day of my life. It's hard to describe the two. You can't even. It's just two opposites all on the same day. Because I was a junkie again when my daughter was born. I had heroin delivered to the hospital where she was born twice over the couple days that I was there. And whew, I was so ashamed of myself. I just couldn't believe that I'd let myself get there again. That was my bottom. I knew that I was done, that I couldn't live like this no more, and I needed to get good for my daughter. So I lived a little like that for just a little bit longer, and I had to call my dad and Magenda, my shaman, and tell him that I was messed up again. And that was hard. That was the hardest phone calls I ever made in my life. So we set up a time for me to go back and detox again. And I had to go back there with all the people that I worked with and trained with for a long time, and they were like my family now. And to show up there messed up again, that was awful. So I went there and I was thinking, it's going to be a piece of cake. I mean, I was only doing a little bit of heroin now. I was only using for a couple months, so this will be no big deal. It won't be anything like the first time when I, was using for years and lots of it. So I was wrong again on that. Iboga showed me. I'm going to get into a little bit more about Iboga after I'm done with my story, but Iboga showed me right away that it wasn't there to bail me out when I got in trouble. And that was some real shit, and it was really confirmed for me how powerful this medicine is and how alive the spirit of Iboga is. It's real. I've seen it with my own eyes, and it was a game changer for me. So I detoxed, and Iboga didn't help me with the withdrawals of the pain. I felt every minute of it. It was awful. 4 days of hell. They actually had to bring me to the hospital again because I was having problems with my kidneys and all these pains, and I think it was just the withdrawals, but I thought I was dying. So I came out of that, and I was good. I've been clean ever since. That was over a year ago now, and just a little over a year ago. So I came back home, and I was good. I was clean, but I really was hung up on the fact that I had relapsed, and my dream in life and my goal in life was to become an Iboga provider and help people with the same problems I did. But I felt like I blew it, that I relapsed, and how's anyone going to take me serious now because it didn't work for me. Like what, so that was hard. It was really hard. So I was like that for a little while, and at the same time, about 6 months ago, well, it was further than that, about 8 months ago, my father was getting ready to start his own center. That was our deal, that our plan together that we were going to do from the very beginning. We were going to start our own center and work with the medicine and help people, as many as we could. So he had never lost track of that vision, and he was still right on, going with it. So he called me and said, hey, we're getting all this together, we're looking at places, we're going to do this soon. You're in, right? We're going to do this. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm in, but I still was really hung up on my relapse. And I felt like that I had blown it. But he had a good talk with me and told me that it wasn't too late. It's never too late. And that was huge for me. From that point on, I really started to be like, yeah, it ain't too late. I still can do this. So I started to try and figure everything out. All right, how am I going to get down here? I got to sell my business, and I had been planning on moving and selling my business for a couple of years. It just hadn't worked out yet, and I was really trying, but nothing was coming together right. And part of that reason was because I was so torn between the two. Should I go down? Or, what happens if it doesn't work? And what am I going to do then? I got a baby, I got a family now, I got to take care of them. I could have very easily stayed here and continue to run my business and provide it for my family and been all right. But I knew I wasn't going to be happy. And that's just so important. And I had learned that from Iboga, how important it is to be happy in life. So a few months went by, and I was trying to do it and trying to sell things, and nothing was working. And I called my dad, and I was struggling. I'm like, I don't know, and it just doesn't seem like this is right. It's not working. So he said, well, why don't you come down? Come down and check out. We got the new place now. We just moved in. Come down with Eliza and Michaela, check it out, and see what you think. So that's what we did. We went down, and as soon as I got there, I knew that this was right. This is what I was supposed to do, and it kind of confirmed me. And so I made up my mind, 100%, this is what I'm going to do. And it felt right. So we were there for 2 weeks and went home, and I put everything I owned for sale, everything. And within a matter of a week and a half, I sold my truck, both my Harleys, other stuff. It was just like bam, 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 bam. The first person that would come look at my whatever it was off Craigslist would buy it full price, and it was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe that it was happening, and it was confirming that my decision was the right one. And I remember calling my dad, like, wow, I just can't even believe this is happening like this, man. Like, everything is just clicking now. And the reason it was clicking is because I had made up my mind. I wasn't torn anymore. I knew what I wanted, and I was getting it done. And pretty much ever since then, my life has been like a movie. It's going amazing. I live down in Costa Rica now, and I work at our center. And we work with people from all over the world with all kinds of problems. Not just drug addicts, people with depression, people that are just spiritual seekers. And yeah, they're coming from, there's lots from the US, lots from Canada, but the UK, Australia, Dubai, I mean, it just goes on and on. So every session, I get to meet new people from all over the world, and man, it's amazing to see these people and hear their stories, and to help them come out of it it's unbelievable. It gets me so high. That's how I get high now. I've realized that what I put out comes back, And it's a great payment to see these people change and how they appreciate you helping them. And that is just, there's no money, there's no material thing that will give you that feeling. For all my life, I thought that I needed to be rich to be happy. I thought I needed to be high. I needed something. It was always something, no matter what it was, I needed more. And I've learned that that's not the case. It's not the case at all. Everything that we need is right inside us. And just being happy that's the best thing in the world. All those things are great. Money and material things, they're awesome, man. I still like nice things, for sure. But I don't need them to be happy. I'm not attached to them. So yeah, I can truly say now that I am happy. I wake up every morning and I can't wait to start the day and to do what I do. And that's an amazing thing, because for so long I wasn't like that. So yeah, that's a little bit of my story. Things have, like I said, are going really well. Now I'm having the opportunity to help some of my friends that had the same problems. And a couple of them are sitting right here. They just were down at my center a couple months ago, and we had a good time. It wasn't easy, but they're both doing great, and I'm so proud of them, and it just makes me feel so good to be able to share what I've learned and pass that on, so that they don't have to feel like that anymore. It's some powerful stuff. Yeah, so I'm home right now for just for a little bit. I'm here for another week, so I had to do this, and got some other things. I'm trying to finalize my business sale, and we're also working on another thing I got going on right now. A couple months ago, or not a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago rather, a journalist came to our center that she was doing a story and traveling around all over the world, researching, working with plant medicine and addiction. And she's here right now. Where is she? I don't even know where she is. There she is. All right, Catherine. And she's with her husband, Jon. I can't say it right, but they're right there. He's from the Czech Republic, and they're really nice people. Like I said, she came down and she had been touring around for 4 months, checking out all the different places that are like ours and similar to ours that work with plant medicine and helping people with addiction. So she was there last session, just before we came back, and there was a kid from Tampa, Florida, Tim, that agreed to let her kind of follow and study him through his treatment. He was an opiate addict from Florida, and he's a good friend of mine now. Just met him a couple of weeks ago. We're real tight. So yeah, she was following that, and we started talking, and it came up that I was gonna do the speech, and she was like, well, when is that? You know, it's in Boston, and it just so happened that she was gonna be here in Boston for the next 3 weeks, which they've never been here before. Basically, she's been away from her husband for the past 4 months doing all this, and this was their 3-week time to spend some time together before they both had to go do their other things. So it was kind of interesting that she was going to be here for this time, from where I'm from, and get to see this speech. So we started talking more, and we started talking about what she used to do was make documentaries. And I've had some ideas about making a documentary myself for quite a while now, about showing what we do and putting out this message for what Iboga does, because there's so many people have no idea what it is. So there was a lot of coincidences that came together with Catherine and I, and we are going to be working on a documentary. It's going to show a bunch of different things. It's going to kind of show this journey that I've been on and this path that I'm on now. It's going to show some of my friends that are going to be coming down to our center pretty soon here. We're going to document it all the way through, from being here this week, and then the plane ride down. I have to go back, but she's still going to be here, so she's going to be able to continue to film while I'm not here. And yeah, it's going to be really cool. We're also going to be filming in the end of July. I'm going to Africa. I'm going to be initiated into my shaman's tribe, and we're going to film that too. It's going to be pretty cool. I don't really know what to expect when I go there. It's going to be crazy, I know that. But my father's been twice. He's already been initiated. I've been supposed to go multiple times, but the timing just didn't work out for me. But I'm glad that it's working out now because it feels like the right time. Yeah, so when I go there, I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. And I'm going to take part in 2 week-long ceremonies, basically. The first one is called the Rite of Passage. And the Rite of Passage is for the boys from the tribe when they're 12, 14 years old, around that age, when they're turning into a man, they go through the Rite of Passage. And they go into the jungle for a week, and they break you down. They make you lose all the fears and things from a child so that you can leave that behind to become a man. So in their eyes, in their tribe, in their tradition, I'm still a boy. I'm not a man yet because I haven't been through that yet. So I will be with 12, 14-year-old African boys, white boy, 35-year-old dude, right beside him. So that is going to be interesting. Magenda jokes about that part of the ceremony, and he says to me, "You're going to think we don't like you, man." And that scares me a little bit. But I know he does like me. I know he loves me, and I love him too. So I know I'll be okay. So that's the first week, and there's no Iboga for that. That's just you in the jungle and whatever we're going to do. I don't know. And the second week is the full initiation. That's where I will be initiated into their tribe. What I love about this is anyone can be initiated into the tribe. You don't have to be chosen, you don't have to be special, you don't have to be green, purple, black, white, whatever. You have to obviously know someone to go there, but there is no, everyone is the same with them, everyone is equal. So I thought that was cool. I can't wait to be a part of it. So yeah, that's in July, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a game changer, I know that. So that's kind of my story, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about Iboga, though, and how it works. Iboga is amazing. A lot of people are kind of a little skeptical of it or frightened by it because it's not how we do things here in the United States. It's not even close. Iboga has been around for a long, long time. As far back as the Bwiti people from Gabon have been around. And they use it as a way of life. Their tribe or their tradition is called the Bwiti. And the Bwiti is not a religion. It's the furthest thing from religion. It's a tradition, and it's basically the study of life. So all their lives they're just studying life and how to be happy and what works. It's a little different from growing up there, obviously, than from here. I never really was taught some of these things, and they just have a different approach, basically. So the Bwiti tradition, like I said, isn't a religion. It's just a way of life, and I've been taught that now by my shaman Magenda for the last couple years. I've learned a lot from him, and I've learned a lot from Iboga. Just to see the way these people come up and their look on life is just so different. Where they're from, there is no such thing as depression. They don't even know what that is. Anxiety, what the hell's that? They don't have those things. And that's pretty cool. So in my training that I'm pretty much done with here, almost done. I'm really excited for that. But in my training, I've had to do a lot of things. One of the things is to learn how to control my mind. For my whole life, I thought that my mind and these thoughts that I had was who I was. But I've learned that that's not the case. Your mind is a huge part of who you are, but it's just a tool. It's just a tool like your hands or your feet or anything on your body. And those negative thoughts that we all get, I used to get lots of them, and I would follow them, and I'd be trapped on them for days and weeks and years. I was locked up in my mind. I was worried and so concerned about the past and what had happened and how I could change it. And that hung me up. And that's the biggest problem with most people who are depressed and have drug addiction. They're locked up in their minds and they're stuck on the past. What I learned and what I already knew is, you can't change the past. There's no way that anyone can go back and fix anything that's happened. And a lot of people think about and spend a lot of their lives thinking back, oh, if I did this or if I did that, how would things be? So what I had to do is make peace with those things, and Iboga's let me do that. I've dealt with some stuff and just let it go. It's in the past, I can't change it. So I could sit around the rest of my life and try and change it, or I could just move on. And that's what I've decided to do. So that's one of the things that is a big one, is controlling your thoughts. We teach all the people that come on how to do it. At first it's kind of tough. Basically, it's really simple. It almost seems too simple, but really anytime you get a negative thought, you just need to, or any thought you get, you need to look at it and see if it's good for you or not, if it helps you. And if it doesn't, and it's just some crazy thought that you have, you need to just let it go and think about something different. And I know that was hard for me for a while, but I started to realize that it wasn't so bad. Since I've got clean, a couple years ago, I started playing guitar. I've always wanted to play guitar all my life, but I just never spent the time to do it. So when I first started playing, they were teaching me chords, and I'm like, trying to put this finger here and this, and I just felt like I was retarded. It was hard. And then I practiced though, and I worked at it, and I kept going, and it started to get easier. And then some of these chords that were such a struggle, I didn't even have to think about it. I just did it. You don't even think about it, just do it. And that's the way I've trained my mind now with my negative thoughts. Now I've done the work and I've done the training, I don't even think about it. If I get a negative thought, throw it in the trash. See you later. You're not going to help me. I don't need to think about you. I'm not going to waste 1 second of my life worrying about you, because you're not going to do anything for me. Sometimes I still get crazy thoughts. Everybody does. And I'll just sit there and laugh at myself. You crazy man. But I push it aside and I move on. That's a big one. And I struggled with that for a while because it just seemed too easy. And it really is that easy. But you just gotta train your mind to do it. So that's been a big one for me and helped me so much. The situations that we get put in down there, working with the medicine and with people, sometimes they can be some hairy situations. This is serious stuff that we do, and that's why we need to be trained the right way. We need to be able to handle all these situations calmly and effectively. Someone who's can't control their mind and doesn't have control of themselves and in a good place, something happens, they're going to freak out, bug out, and not know what to do. So we're trained on how to handle those things and just life in general. Another thing that I learned with my relapse and other thing, and I tell this to all of my people I work with now, my addicts especially, I call it my golden key to staying clean. And with that, we talk about when you're down at our center and everything's good and you're feeling good and you've made peace with your past and whatever it was, and everyone asks, okay, well, how do I keep this feeling? How do I keep this going for the rest of my life? And I'm going to tell you right now, and what I tell them, how you do that. So once you have your peace of mind, you need to keep that. So if anything comes up, life, no matter what it is, if you're an addict and you get clean, it doesn't mean that life's not going to throw challenges at you for the rest of your life. That's just the way life is. So you need to know how to deal with these things. And what I tell people, what worked for me, and Magenda taught me, is if anything happens in your life, no matter what it is, big, small, you need to deal with it that day. You have to face it and deal with it. If you push it off till tomorrow, you're going to let it go, and then it's just going to be there. And then a week later, something else is going to happen. You're like, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And you're going to it's going to start stacking up. and then things are just going to be too much. You can't handle it anymore, and you're gonna snap, and you're gonna give in to whatever it is that was troubling you before, and do drugs again, for example. So I've learned now that no matter what happens in my day, whether it's good or bad or anything I got to deal with that day before I go to sleep, and that gives me a fresh day. Every day is a new day, and I start out good every day. You know, like I said, life will give you challenges forever. There's no way around that. That's just life. But once you know how to handle it, it's a piece of cake. I'm doing it right now. Yeah, so Iboga, again, it's amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit how it works and how we work with addicts that come to see us. When they first show up, most of them are withdrawing from the drugs, and they're sick and they're not feeling good. And we have a doctor that works with us. He's a Costa Rican doctor. He's been a doctor for 14 years, Dr. Douglas. He's a good friend of mine now, and he lives at the center with us. He's there 24/7. And so when the addicts get there, we check them out with the doctor and make sure everything's cool and everything's all right, and give them an EKG and make sure everything's cool, and then we give them the medicine. And as soon as we give them the medicine, it takes their withdrawals away within about an hour. And that's when the detox process starts. Again, like I was saying before, it really varies how long that takes, depending on how long the person was using for or how much they were using. Some people, it's a day or two, or it can be up to 5 days, like me. So that's great. We take out the drugs and we get the physical addiction. We take care of that. But with addicts and people that are using to self-medicate or whatever, that's just a small portion of the problem. The real problem is up here, and that's what we use the medicine for a second time. We wait till they're back on their feet again, and I give them a couple days and they're feeling good. They realize that they don't need drugs, and they wake up smiling, and man, is that a cool thing to see, especially from someone that knows what it's like to have to wake up and need to do drugs every morning before you get up, and to when you feel like that's gone and you're free. Whew, it's amazing, and to see the people's faces when they come out of it 2 days later, 3 days later, and they smile at me and say thank you. Whew, that's some good stuff. It's really cool. So yeah, like I said, the addiction part though, and the physical addiction is really a small portion of the problem. And that's what we get to work on right after that. After they're good, we have another ceremony and we give them the medicine again. This is called the psycho-spiritual journey. And what Iboga does is it lets you go inside yourself. Iboga is hallucinogenic. It makes you trip out. And it's not like acid or mushrooms or any of that stuff. It's really hard to describe if you haven't done it. It's all good. What it does though is it lets you go inside yourself and see what the problems were and why you were an addict and what you were struggling with. Everything from all of our lives has been recorded in our brain. We may not be able to access it, but it's all there. From the second we were born till right now, it is all right there. And Iboga can take you back to whether it was when you were 3 years old, 10 years old, 17, whatever it was. Iboga will take you back and show you what happened. And a lot of people are scared of that. You know, Iboga shows you the truth. And the truth hurts. It really does. It hurt for me. But the truth will set you free. There's a reward there. So yeah, it lets you go back. It took me back to when I was, like I said earlier, in my teens, when some things happened with my parents. And some things happened that I just couldn't understand. It was just really confusing for me, and I was really mad at my dad for most of my life. And Iboga showed me where it was. You know, everyone, when they're a kid and they're a baby, they're born, they're happy, and they're doing good. And there's a point in everybody's life that becomes an addict where they make a turn and head in a different direction. And Iboga shows you that. I'm not trying to blame by any means. I don't want to put the wrong message out here that what had happened to me is the reason why I was a heroin addict. There was a lot of reasons why I was a heroin addict, but Iboga shows you these things that you struggled with and that you pushed down to your toes, that you didn't want to deal with, that you were scared of. It shows you that stuff, and that's really amazing. Like I said, it's scary, but at the same time, Iboga has a really gentle way of showing you these things. And it lets you look at things totally different, like you've never looked at it before. And it really makes sense of some things that, for me personally, were very confusing for me and I was really hung up on for a lot of my life. I've learned from Iboga that I am the only one that has control of how I feel. I used to make excuses. I used to say, because this happened or that, or this is why I'm messed up because of that. But what I've learned is that I am the only one that has control of that. And the only reason why any of the stuff the things that I put myself through was my choice. And that was a tough one for me. But like I said, Iboga shows you the truth. So that's what's a little different about the way we treat people. Here in the States, when you go to rehab, they have a little bit of different approach. They have what's called the 12-step program. And I've never actually been through the 12-step program. I've been to NA meetings and AA meetings, and I've seen how it works. And my good friends have been through the 12-step program for years, so I know quite a bit about it. And there's some things that I don't really agree with. If anyone you know or someone it's worked for them, that's great. I'm not trying to put it down or anything. There's just some things that just don't really make sense to me. Part of the 12-step program where when you go to an NA meeting or an AA meeting, you stand up in front of everybody and you say, "Hi, my name's Jeff. I'm an alcoholic or I'm a drug addict." And I don't understand that because if they're there and they're clean, they're not a drug addict or an alcoholic anymore. And when you tell yourself that every day or whatever it is, what are you telling yourself about yourself? I mean, that just doesn't work for me. We teach people that the things in the past, and it's all in the past. You can't change it, but you can move on and you can let go of that. And if you're going to stay hung up on it and call yourself an addict for the rest of your life, well, then you're an addict, I guess. But that's not me. I'm not an addict, not anymore. And there's another thing that people will argue probably with me about if addiction is a disease or if it's a choice. I'm going to tell you right now that it's a choice. Do I look like I have a disease? Do I look like I'm dying now? No, I don't have a disease anymore. I had an addiction and I got free of it and I put it in my past. I let it go back and I see you later. And it's that simple. I know the struggle that I've been through the last couple of years was not easy, and I had to do work. But these things that I did have paid off. So yeah, the other thing that, like I said, it's not just people that are drug addicts that come. People with depression come too. And I don't know if you ever thought about really what is depression. Obviously, they're unhappy. But really, when you think about it, all people that are depressed they're just stuck in the past. They can't let go of things that happened, and they just stay hung up and locked up in their mind. And that's another thing that Iboga is so good at, is showing people that you don't have to be that way. You can just let that stuff go and move on and live happy. I mean, I see it every day. I see it, we have people coming into our center, new people every couple weeks, and I see it happen over and over. Different people from different walks of life, different problems, different addictions, different things, and Iboga shows them the truth, and they leave happy. I have friends from all over the world now, friends that I could call at any time, and they would let me stay at their house in a second. It's pretty cool. The bond that we make with these people is amazing. Yeah. So again, Iboga and the way we treat people is very different from the way things are done here. But I think that people are starting to realize that the way things are done here, they're not really working that well. There's a lot of people struggling with this, and they're going to rehab multiple times over and over and over, and it's just not working. And I think that a big part of that is because, yeah, they're taking away the physical addiction, but they're not dealing with what's wrong inside, why they were an addict in the first place. So yeah, that's why Iboga is so powerful and it works so well, because it lets you go inside yourself and find the truth. I've found my truth now. The last couple of years, I was figuring out who I really am. I thought I knew who I was, but I had no idea. The real me was pushed down deep, and I was smothering myself down in, and really it was just fake. I was living a lie, and it just feels so good to let that go. I mean, I was just carrying these 1,000-pound bags on my back for so long, and to let them go and be free now it's amazing. I value my life now. I care if I wake up tomorrow, which I couldn't say for a long time. I've learned that life is a gift, and when you look at it that way, man, it's amazing. Everybody has a choice of what they want to do, and it's just so important to be happy. Like I said, life is a gift, and you can't waste, like I did for so long, waste this beautiful thing that we have, that, without life we would have nothing. It's just so important. And like I said, now that I look at it that way, man, as it opens some doors for me. I just can't even believe how I didn't think life could be this good. I really didn't. I just used to think that I was going to be messed up for the rest of my life, and there was no way that I could be happy if I was clean. Remember, it's probably about 5 months ago, I was back here. It was right before I moved down to Costa Rica, and I was doing really good, and I was been happy for quite a while. And I was sitting at my desk and listening to YouTube, but I do quite a bit. I'm always listening to music. And it kind of dawned on me that I was just happy, and I'd been happy for so long. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, how am I just still happy? What's going on? And then it dawned on me that I loved myself again, that I forgave myself, and I wasn't ashamed of myself anymore. And everything, that high that I was looking for all my life, with everything I tried to get that feeling, it was right inside me. I didn't even know it, and I just had to let go and love myself again. And bam, man, what a ride it's been. So yeah, really glad to be here and tell my story. I hope that if anybody knows anyone that's struggling with this or struggling with themselves, there is a way out. And I thought for a long time there was no way out, but there is. I'm proof of that, and it's never too late. So yeah, if anybody ever needs anything or knows anyone that's struggling with this type of thing, my cards are up there. You call me anytime. This is what I do now. I feel like it's just amazing to know your path in life. For a long time, I thought I was on the right track, and it was different things that I was doing that I thought, oh, this is going to be big. This is it, because I always knew since I was little something big was going to happen. And to now realize that at 35 years old and be living it and realize that this is what I was here for. All these things that I lived through and went through, and these struggles and addiction and all these problems, they made me who I am today. I wouldn't change that for the world. I would not change one thing. I'm going to use those things. I'm not going to sit around and mope about it and go, oh shit, man, I ruined my life. I messed everything up. I was a junkie. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to use my experiences with all the drugs that I did over the years and all the things that I've learned. I'm going to use that to help people. And it's, like I said, now that I've found this path that I'm on, man, I feel like I'm in a movie. It's just amazing. So it feels good to show you guys and talk about who I really am, because I've known most of you for most of my life, but that wasn't really the real me. The real me was pushed down, and I'm really happy with who I am now. I couldn't say that for a long time, and yeah, I'm just happy that everybody came to listen, and it's just good to see everybody here, and hopefully, you know, this will help some, or it'll bring more awareness to the community of what's going on, because it's around here, it's around everywhere. It's like Therese said, it's an epidemic. I mean, it's crazy, and it's not just some loser in an alley, like I said, man. It's regular people. You know, the thing with heroin or opiates or any of that, you really can fit in pretty well and make it seem like everything's okay, and it's hard to really see if someone's messed up. Us junkies can see someone in a second and know that they're messed up, but the average person, they don't know that, and it's really easy to put on a front and make it seem like everything's okay when it's not. So, yeah, that's no way to live. It's no way to live. So, yeah, does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
How is Iboga administered? Is it, do you smoke it?
No, it's what Iboga is, I should have explained this better, is a tree that grows in Africa. And what we use is the root bark from the tree. And we grind that up, and there's two ways of taking the medicine. There's the straight root bark, which we'll give you just with a spoon into your mouth, and it's basically like ground up root bark, sand, kind of not very fun. And then there's another, we have pills that we make of TA, and that's a little bit stronger. It's been through a slight extraction process to make it stronger, and we put that in a pill, and that's how we mostly time is give it, through a pill.
Do you find that people, when they return after they go through the treatment,
Mm-hmm.
do they have relapses?
I mean,
their environment?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because it does happen. I mean, it happened to me. And overall, I stay up with a lot of people that we worked with over the couple of years, and the majority of them are doing really well. The biggest thing that makes a huge difference is you have to be ready. There is no magic pill out there that's gonna you take and you wake up the next day and everything's fine. There's things you need to do on your part to keep that going. And what I see is the people that are really ready, that are done, they've had enough, and they make that choice, easy. But again, if someone's coming because their mom wants them to come, or their sister wants them to come because they're worried about them and they're not doing it for themselves, chances aren't as good. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you beat this addiction, whether it's traditional rehab or this or whatever, you've got to want it. If you don't want it, it's not going to work. I've learned that myself. Mm-hmm. Well, you feel the medicine for 24 hours at least. When the people come, you know, detox aside, just the regular psychospiritual people that aren't messed up, they're just coming to find answers and explore their past or whatever it is. They stay up all night. We're with them. We have a fire ceremony. And we talk for a few hours. We give them the medicine around the fire, and then we have them go to our temple, and they lay on a mattress all night, and they don't sleep. They're very awake. They're on the medicine, and we're there with them all night to guide them on their journey. And if anything, they need to go to the bathroom or they need to throw up, we were right there to take care of everything. So you stay up all night, and then at 6 or 7 in the morning, you go up to your room. And most people don't go to sleep then either. They're usually awake till the following night. Some people will fall asleep in the afternoon or whatever. It's really different for everyone, but you're up for 24 hours at least. Some people 36 hours. I mean, it depends. But yeah. Yes, Mary?
When you're awake, this
Yeah.
whole time
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, are you experiencing hallucinatory things if you're awake?
Yeah, well, you're awake the whole time. That's the one thing with Iboga, and it's not, you're very aware of reality, but at the same time, you're looking at it in a different way. You know, what I find, and a lot of people say, and the way I feel too, is that, you know, at the first night, or at the nighttime, it's really intense, and there's a lot of things going on, and it's kind of hard to process all of it. But the next day, it settles down. You're still feeling it, and that's when things all make sense, for me, anyways. It's always the next day when I get all these lots of things going on, and it's hard to make sense of it. But the next day, you really everything starts to make sense, and you have just these epiphanies, really, and these thoughts, and everything comes together then. And it continues to go on for days. Not as strong, but it slowly goes away. Yes, Mom? Right. Thank you, Mother. All right, let me talk about that. Right. So she brought up a good point, something I left out. I was going to get to that after. So yeah, when after you've done your detox, so everyone, when they come, whether a drug addict or just someone who's depressed, or they're just coming for spiritual experience, they all have to detox. The spirit world is a very clean place, and just because you're not detoxed from drugs, you need to detox from toxins and negative thoughts and negative thought patterns and all these things. So it's very rare that the first time someone does Iboga that they will journey. It's more of a detox for everyone. So the second time that we give them the medicine, there's a reason why we do the medicine twice, at minimum twice. The second time, we will guide you on a spiritual journey. And like my mom was saying, you know, we tell people to write down questions, any question in the world that they want answered. They write it down, and then we have that with them. And when they start to feel the medicine and we send them off on their journey, we have them go find their ancestors or their soul, and this is done in the spirit world. I know that this sounds a little wild to some people, but it's real. I see it every day. So when they do these, they have these questions, they go find whoever they want them to answer them. A lot of times it's your own soul. And your soul will give you the answers to any question you have. And some people it comes in a vision form. Some people they hear it. Some people just get these thoughts that it's really different for everyone. Yeah. Any more that I need to say about that? She knows. She knows. She's been around for that stuff. Any other questions? Yeah? Yeah, we do. We're actually working on developing that a little further because that is important. I personally stay in touch with everyone, phone, email, but it's tough with, you know, we're in Costa Rica and someone's from Florida, someone's from California, someone's from Toronto. You know, it's hard to have a place to send them after. We haven't really figured out how to really do that in face-to-face. What we do is Skype conversations. And check in with people is whenever they want. They can call at any time. But yeah, that's something that we're still trying to put more into. That's one of my projects I'm working on as well, to try and figure out a way to stay up with people and be there for them if they need anything. But it's difficult with the locations of things. But yeah, most people that I've dealt with, like I said, I'm not going to say that this is a magic pill that fixes everyone the first time like that. I mean, there is some people that have gone back, but the statistics are way higher than traditional rehab. Like, it's not even comparable. And I don't have official facts to back that up, but I'm just going by what I've seen and what I know. This is really pretty early. Iboga's been around forever, but it's really only been the last few years that it's starting to get more popular, or known, I should say. So there's lots of centers opening up now. People that may not be doing it for the right reasons. Excuse me. And that is dangerous. Right on our website, we flat out say, you know, if you don't decide to come here, please do your research and look into your provider, because this is no joke. this stuff that we work with. There's a reason why I've been training with my shaman for over 2 years now. This is well, you know, you're playing with people's lives here, and people tend to think that it's easy what we do, and all you need to do is stay up all night with someone and just make sure they're okay. And now there's a lot more to than that. A lot of my training and stuff that I've been with the shaman, I won't really get into, but there's things that I've been taught how to do this the right way, because in Gabon, like I said, in Africa, this spirit of Iboga is it's real. I mean, it's a real thing, and you need to know how to communicate with it and work with it. I know that may sound a little far-fetched, but it's true. So yeah, everyone at our center has been trained by him the traditional Bwiti way, the right way, and that's how we do it. We do it just like they do in Gabon, Africa, right in Costa Rica. So there's people, I hear stories and look online that they'll get like an underground treatment, or they will go to these shady places that is less money, and they'll end up going to a hotel room. The Iboga provider will give them the medicine, throw them in the room and say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. That's not good. That's not good at all. And some bad things can happen that way. So yeah, it's really important to do your research and look at where you're going, because it's not a game. It's very serious stuff. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, when I originally went, I went for 9 days. That was the longest program that they had at the center I went. We've since learned that that's not long enough. When I went, I was doing great by the time I left, but I still hadn't even really slept good yet. When you're a drug addict for that long, sleeping is hard. So again, I was doing good, but a little bit longer would have helped. So we have programs that start at 8 days and go all the way to 30 days. What we've found is with the heavy users and the people that have been using for a long time, they need to be there for a month. We get them in a really good place in a couple weeks, no problem. But it's just so important to have that other couple weeks to know what it's like to be yourself and know what it's like to be clean and just to be happy and just wake up and not have to worry about anything and just kind of enjoy life for a while and get back on your feet, basically. And we've been seeing really good results with that, really, really good. So yeah, it varies from a week to a month. How much does it cost? Good question. Our center and what we do is not covered by insurance. Lots of rehabs are, but you know, the way we do it, it just doesn't work that way. So a lot depends on what you've been using and how long. It really varies. The cost could be as little as $3,500 up to $20,000. $20,000 being a serious junkie that's going to be there for a month, because there's a lot of work that goes into it. And when you compare that actually to traditional rehabs and other things, it's really not that much money. I mean, there's places you can go and spend a lot more money than that. We have a really nice facility down there. It's beautiful. I mean, it's amazing. But there's a reason for that. It's a very healing place, and that helps to do what we do. So when people come down there, they're treated very well. We have a full team that's on them 24/7, and we have cooks and cleaning ladies that prepare breakfast, lunch, and dinner, do the laundry, clean the house. I mean, when you go there, all you have to do is focus on yourself and healing. That's it. We take care of everything else. So yeah. Well, yes, there is. If you have heart conditions, we have Jeannie answers the phone for us. She actually was treated with Iboga 3 years ago, and she's not a doctor, but she's really into all that stuff, and she's done all the study and all the research. And we have Douglas there as well, and they'll talk together. But she does a screening at first and determines where someone's at. That we have a medical form that you have to fill out. Most of the time, everybody is fine, but it's some heart conditions and some sleep apnea, things with respiratory problems and heart problems is an issue, and we can't take chances with things like that. So yeah, it's not for everybody. It's it kind of sucks because I know a few people that really needed it, and what are you gonna do? No one's gonna die on my watch, not if I have anything to do about it. So yeah, we're very precautious about all that, and that's the other reason why we have the doctor there. Not necessarily we need them. We have everything under control, but it makes people feel better. That if they're sending their loved one there, that the doctor is there if something were to go wrong, and he can handle it. He's got all the tools he needs there, and he's there. So yeah. Lori? Oh, the people in Costa Rica. Wow, Costa Rica. Pura vida. I've learned so much from Costa Rica and the people there. That's their saying is pura vida, which means pure life. And it's pure life down there. One of the biggest things that was really shocking for me, and I learned so much from when I got there, is a lot of people don't have a lot of money there. They live in shacks, and they don't have much. But they are the happiest people I've ever seen in my life. And that was just blew me away when I was down there. I'm like, man, how can these people be so happy? They ain't got shit, And they just are. I mean, there's actually been studies that they say Costa Rica is the happiest country in the world. You can Google it. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a different environment. Yeah, I love it down there. And the people, they're very open to us, for sure. In the community where we are, we're in a gated community, and it's pretty much all Americans or Canadians that live there. And we have Costa Rican staff. Our cleaning ladies and our chefs are all Costa Rican. They're ticas, as we call a Costa Rican woman. And they just speak Spanish, so it's pretty interesting. I'm coming along pretty good with my Spanish, but now that we have Dr. Douglas there, he speaks English and Spanish, so it's been pretty helpful for me to have him show me what's going on. But yeah, it's interesting to be there and not speak the language, for sure. But you can get by. There's a lot of Americans down there, and Canadians, like I said. But I would say the people, the feeling I get is they love us, man. It's all good. We're giving them jobs, and all the interactions that I've had with the people, like I said, it's amazing to see how happy they are. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it can be done that way, but usually it's individually. Again, Jeannie handles all that stuff. You call her and she'll let you know what's available and what's open. And we have people come as couples. We have people come as families. But most of the time it's just that person coming themselves. And it's really important. We tell people when they're coming as a couple, say, or a family, that the people have to realize that this is about them. It's about themselves, and they're each on their own separate journey, and they can't get wrapped up and stuck in each other's journey and worried about that, because it's really important to focus on yourself. So yeah, well, we do have groups that come together, but most of the time it's just individuals. But it doesn't matter either way. Does that answer your question? Okay. Anything else? Oh, back there. Sorry.
First, I want to say thank you so much for what you do. Really respect you getting up there and the center and everything.
Thank you. Yeah.
My story is a little bit sadder.
Okay.
My son passed away in November. He was one of those opiates.
Oh.
In his head, couldn't get out of the past.
So he was an addict of heroin addict, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same path line, except for the cocaine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, they said he would have been a hardcore junkie.
Mm-hmm.
20,000
How old was he?
He was
29. Is he from around here, or where are you from?
Pepperell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know if I knew him.
Well,
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Sorry for your loss.
So my question is that he was in the mass health arena, you know, they've thrown in rehab, so you've done
Yeah,
over a dozen.
yeah, yeah.
How can somebody like that or his family afford something like that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's something that we're trying to figure out. We have different ideas um, to get funding or get people to donate, or we're trying to work on that. I can assure you, we're not in this for the money. I can guarantee you that. We are still, at this point, our center is not even profitable yet. Fortunately, my dad's been able to kind of keep this going right now, but we have a lot of expenses, and we need to get what we need to get just to keep things going. So that is an issue, and I wish it was free for everyone. I really do, because I'd be lining them up. But we're working on that, and hopefully there'll be a better way. We have done some things back at the other center where I was working at, where we did contests where people could, tell their story, and we would, pick one that we really felt was good. We did that a couple times. So we've been really brainstorming lately on some things though to do, because it is a problem. I mean, when you're a junkie and you spend all your money on drugs, you don't have money for this. I was very lucky that my parents were able to help me with that, and that's usually the case with anyone who comes. Someone steps up and helps. I'm still in the middle of paying back my debt on that, but yeah, I was lucky.
Do you understand through that whole life, when you're a junkie, you do
Whatever it takes.
whether or not it's down by the rings,
Hmm.
everything. So most families of my class,
Hmm.
they don't
Yeah, they're wiped out already. Yeah, they've already, right. Yeah, I know. It's a big problem. It really is. It's scary. Yeah, again, we're trying to figure that out. I wish I had a better answer for you, but we're working on it. Yeah. Any other questions? Pretty good. All right, Foley, what's up?
When did it get so bad around here? I mean, when I was a kid, it would be like pop beer, and that was it. And it just seems like over the last 10 or 15 years, I'm not just saying this Pepperell,
Yeah, no, it's definitely
but
not.
it's like the pills and the heroin.
Yeah,
And it's, I mean, we have Chris Heron come, he came
Right.
to high school,
Yeah.
came out to some of these great.
I went to that. Yeah,
It's just out of control.
I know it's scary. It really is.
But is it the parents' fault? Is it the kids' fault? It's just, it seems like it's everywhere.
That's a good question, man. Yeah, please.
I've worked in Lowell for a long time, for 10 years in the hospital, and I've seen a lot of things. A lot of things I see at the addicts clinic. And over the years, I'm not afraid to ask, how'd you start? And that's why I said, these prescription drugs, these doctors, these dentists, orthopedics, whatever they are, giving them out like candy. They're giving them out, and to ticket to, it's Dr. gave it to me. These young kids are on these Adderalls, all these drugs that they kind of, their thought when they get a little bit older, well, I was on prescription drugs, and I thought, what, this is my favorite, this is my thought. But there are so many people, I'd say 90% of people on heroin addicts that I've asked how this happened, it was prescription drugs.
That's what it was for me.
They're back, but they were given 60, pills just to go home, and then they call my dad and go, oh, here's another 60. Have they reassessed that patient? Have they done anything like that? I mean, like the governor says, this is an epidemic, but these are problems we have to fix. Yeah, all right, it's too late? No, it's never too late, but that's just.
Yeah, but to add to that, though, there definitely some things have changed in the last 10 years or so, and how many of these things they're making and how easy they're putting them out there. I just talked about this kid Tim that was from Florida, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard about the pill mills. And basically, what Sarah is referring to is down in Florida, the laws are way different with how it is with prescription drugs, and the doctors. very lenient and give out scripts like crazy. You should YouTube it and check out some of these movies because it's amazing. They've cracked down on it quite a bit now, but a few years ago they started really cracking on it. For the 10 years before that, it was just crazy. And then Tim was from Florida. I actually did a video with him the other day for my blog. If you guys want to check it out, jeffiboga.blogspot.com. Little plug there. But we go into this quite a bit, and because he lived it, he experienced this. And he had 3 different scripts from 3 different doctors going at the same time, and he had no problems. He would go into the doctor with a fake MRI. It was someone else's or something, and basically say his back's hurt, and they would give him a script, the full script for 280 pills for a month. And he had 3 doctors giving him 280 pills at once. And this was, I mean, you got to watch these movies. They show the parking lots of these doctors' offices, and you don't even see a Florida plate in the parking lot. It's Massachusetts, Kentucky. I mean, it's just all over, and people are driving down to do this, and it went on for years. It's crazy. They show in the documentary that I saw, they show the phone book, and then they show the yellow pages at the back. The phone book's this big, and half of it is all prescription pill pain places that you can go, these doctors. And these doctors are drug dealers. That's all they are. They're drug dealers with PhDs, and they're making a shitload of money off it, so they don't care. You come in, you give them whatever they need to see to make it go through their regulations, whatever they got to follow. They write the script and out the door, and there's lines out these things. For years that was going on. It was in the state of Florida because their laws were different or whatever it was. So these people would drive down from all over the place and then get these crazy scripts, fill their trunks with pills, and go back to our communities and different places and spread them, and that's how they got around. I mean, that's a big part of it, I think. From what I've seen. They're making these pills as fast as they can print them, and the people that are making them, I don't think they realize or even care what it's doing. All they're worried about is making money. The other thing, the same people that make these pills also make Suboxone and methadone. Those are things that I've used as well, trying to get clean. And they're not a fix. They're just you're just changing your addiction to something else. It's legal, and you go to the doctors to get it, so it's okay, but you're still an addict, you're still messed up. So most standard procedures in rehab in the States is you're coming off heroin or oxys or whatever it is, and they wean you down and they give you Suboxone, and they give you a script and go, okay, all right, we'll see you later. I have many friends that are on that, and that's not a fix for the problem. That's just a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound. And there's so many people struggling with that alone. And a lot of people are coming down to our center to detox from those things. So yeah, it's pretty scary if you really start looking into this stuff and look where the root of the problem is. I don't know, do some research and look, and I know what I think. Yeah, Google it. Anybody else? Is that it? Yeah. Yeah, for a few days, and I'm going to go stay at Collins so I can spend some time with my nephew. Yeah. And then it's back to Costa Rica in a week.
Is this the first time you've done one of these?
Oh, yeah. I do.